The vast darkness and endless expanse of outer space can be home to any number of undiscovered and diverse creatures and sentient life. Throughout human history, we have fantastically dramatized and fearfully depicted what may be out there. What would be their intentions, their goals for making contact with the human race? Would they be of peace or war? When you think of the many armadas and races of aliens that we have fictionalized over just the last century, what comes to mind? The coexisting races of the Citadel? The chest-pounding xenomorphs? The earth-scorching War of the Worlds aliens? The religious extremists of the Covenant? The marketable fuzzballs of Star Wars? The trigger-happy Martians of Mars Attacks? The talent-stealing shrimps led by a green Danny DeVito? Or whatever the hell these things are. But what if all this was wrong, and the true first contact humanity had came in white face paint, baggy clothes, and what a majority of the world would consider a joke at first glance? Well, the circus is coming to town today, and I've been wanting to do something that seems equally hysterical, dumb, crazy, and most importantly, threatening to your survival. And with today's subject, all those donkeys have had their tails pinned. Today, we're covering the block-knocking, shock-dropping, cock-blocking, popcorn spawn-popping, cotton candy loving. Jeff Dunham is probably a killer clown, and his puppets are actually dead bodies of aliens from different planets he uses for his act. Somewhere in my mind, I know there is some twisted bastard who probably has Rule 34 of these things. The first cinematic clowns from outer space in 1988, beating out even Pennywise in his 1990 debut. There will probably never be a sequel to this movie despite the original creators wanting to do so, because like everything else Disney buys, they either milk it to death, repurpose it with better graphics and a crap story, or just outright take the IP out back and gun it down. These fellas have a major weakness that are rather on the nose. Twisted Metal probably got some inspiration from this feature film. Old Clownzilla was honking around the big top tent like a big playground. The only union in the known universe looking to hire the declining clown unemployment market, a race of creatures that probably suffer from 100% societal diabetes from their copious amounts of cotton candy consumption, and the OG ICPs themselves. With this long-ass intro out of the way, we are telling you why you wouldn't survive Killer Klowns from outer space. Clowns have been staples in human culture for thousands of years, dating back to even the ancient Egyptians. Although most iterations are considered either court jesters, harlequins, fools, and even in some cases, priests, as they performed physical entertainment in heavy comedic/dramatic attire. It wasn't until the mid-19th century did we get the modern depiction of the circus clown, where Tom Belling had reworked the notions of the clown to his own into Auguste, however you pronounce this, I'll just say Auguste, giving clowns their renowned white face paint, red nose, and further exaggerated clothing to accentuate hobos and tramps. Over the next century, many iconic characters would popularize the clown visage, like Ronald McDonald, Krusty the Clown, and Bozo the Clown, which caused a heavy influx of private party clowns in the United States in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't until the real-world murders by John Wayne Gacy in the 1990 Stephen King miniseries of It did people start to fully fear clowns and develop a vaster form of coulrophobia. Researcher Ben Radford has even stated that clowns, more particularly evil clowns, have existed throughout history and have been considered fools, tricksters, and individuals that can act and speak their mind without fearing repercussion due to their career choice. People consider their childish and goofy demeanor a deceitful ploy to lure in unsuspecting victims to a twisted and mutilative demise. And he has also stated that most clowns out there hate the stigma that all clowns are evil and they're just trying to get some work out there. Pay your local clown, give him some business. Although these days many people steer clear of any kind of clown as they're not found outside haunted house attractions and that brief stint of clown sightings across the world in 2016, which may have been a ploy to scout the globe by today's antagonistic entity. Those clowns we saw in 2016, they were scoping us out, man. But what if our interpretations of the clown aren't original concepts of mankind? What if we didn't come up with them on our own? What if, much like some people's theories on the pyramids of Egypt, that the identity and characteristics of the clown are slowly because of what we saw from aliens? Much like the theories of the ancient astronaut, where man has been visited by ancient aliens that have shaped and molded our culture, but in this instance, giving us multiple different inspirations for the common fool or clown, possibly giving humanity the false early pretenses that their appearances are never to be taken too seriously. Again, remember that this movie came out in 1988, so before clowns were generally perceived as more evil than good. But the theme song of the movie does say they take inspiration from the P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus, and probably first came into contact with mankind during the budding years of circus entertainment. They will periodically land on Earth every undetermined amount of years in order to harvest live organisms for not only consumption, but for even breeding purposes. They will land in rural areas where populations of humans are relatively small and their immediate armed forces are even smaller, using their spaceship shaped like a big top circus tent. Anyone that stumbles upon their land site won't immediately be alerted to an extraterrestrial vehicle and instead wonder what the hell a circus is doing out in the middle of a pasture at 3 a.m. Oh boy, 3 a.m. People they come into contact with will of course be a bit wary, maybe even a little bit disturbed, of a troupe of grotesque looking clowns approaching them. The trademark difference between an Earth clown with a C and an alien clown with a K is hard to notice, I know, but as you might not be able to notice, the killer clowns have slightly larger heads, much wider mouths with crooked teeth, with comically larger four-fingered hands and feet. But for most hard-working, honest American folk, it's plumb hard to tell.
Mean bike you got there. Yeah.
For me? Oh, shit.
Victims will have no idea what kind of horrors await them as the clowns begin to make their moves. They will systematically seek out any humans by themselves or in small groups and use a wide variety of weapons and powers alongside their intelligence at their disposal. They retain the knowledge of both their unique language as well as the English language and can know the full names of people without even hearing them once, and can even mimic the voices of other human beings pitch perfectly in order to lure in unsuspecting prey. They may also lure in others in a number of childish fashions, like having a puppet show in alleyways, or blowing up and creating sentient balloon animals that act like dogs and other small creatures to draw in people to off them when they have their guard down. They do hunt prey sadistically and will use rudimentary weapons like spiked bats to beat people to death, and even almost whacking a little girl with a clown-sized sledgehammer, or will just chase after their victims while laughing maniacally to scare them half to death, despite having a clear-cut advantage to kill certain victims with ease. But besides their smarts and cruel nature, their most devastating attributes to contributing to your non-survival are their weapons and otherworldly capabilities. They could pull out cream pies.
I like cream pies as much as the next guy. Oh, don't say it out loud.
No, not that kind of cream pie, you horny bastard. Dessert cream pies out of thin air and chuck dozens of them at you, coating you in a thick, white cream.
Hang on a second. What kind of cream pie are you talking about? What kind of cream pie are you talking about?
But no, the pies themselves are in fact made of an unknown, highly acidic substance and can easily cause your entire body to melt away into nothing but a steaming pile of bone-in, white-hot cream.
Cream pies are a rich American tradition.
They also have pocket-sized paper whistles that when blown can act as extendable arms that can choke or even snap the neck of enemies in a very quick instance, even if they are behind bars or obstacles. But their most common weaponry are their cotton candy guns, little ray gun-like machines that when fired can hit you in a similar way to destroy humans' Zap-O-Matic. Once you have been shot by this pink lightning, your body will instantaneously be encased in a thick cocoon of cotton candy, which, if a body has been trapped in them long enough, will slowly be converted into a bloody paste. You will be liquefied while unconscious within these things. From there, the killer clown population will whip out these giant crazy straws to stab into your cocoon casing and drink reservoirs of blood, much like a spider feasting on their prey. Equally terrifying is their way of manipulating the very shadows cast by light, as one clown named Slim was able to put on a shadow puppet show to attract nearby townsfolk, entertaining them as they drew near. When the time was right, Slim was able to use the shape of a monstrous beast to swallow the group of unwary people whole and completely transform their organic matter into popcorn to put in his nearby duffel bag. You are going to be converted into popcorn, but that's not even the scariest part. The popcorn actually acts as a larval and prenatal form of life for the killer clown species that can quickly grow and age dependent on their environment and means of distribution, such as moist and damp areas like dumpsters and toilets. Once they have matured enough, they will grow into snake-like jack-in-the-box clown-headed monsters that can extend their necks at will to sink their teeth into victims, dragging them into whatever jack-in-the-box-like container they lie within and devour them alive. But the popcorn doesn't stop there, it's still poppin'. The killer clowns also have weaponized their offspring, creating popcorn bazookas. When fired, dozens of popcorn projectiles will launch at a target and home in on their location like heat-seeking missiles and follow them despite any winding turns or obstacles they attempt to put in the way over long distances. These prenatal popcorns will then latch onto you, and in these cases will cause them to grow to their snake-like forms at a much more exponential rate, so that they may instantly start eating you alive while they are stuck to your body. Ripping the weapons from their hands would not deter their deadliness by much, as they are also able to achieve ungodly physical feats, being able to leap tall buildings in a single bound to catch up to you no matter where you are, and even the smallest of their species have ungodly amounts of strength, where they are able to knock the head clean off a rather burly biker with just one punch. They are literally one-punch clowns.
What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?
In some cases, when the clowns have successfully killed a human body without either converting it into a bloody cotton candy soup or popcorn sperm, they can use their corpses exactly like a ventriloquist would, sticking their giant white grubby hands through a gaping wound in the back of the body to manipulate the mouth, eyes, frame, and vocal cords. Remember, they're able to imitate the voice of any human being and use the deceased victim to morbidly imitate any person they have as a dead body, which could be used to manipulate the public by hijacking the bodies of popular icons and media celebrities if they work their bodies just right, even if the celebrities may look a little stone-faced after being used. When they have successfully turned a majority of a town's population into cavity-causing cocoons, they will thoroughly scour and collect each one to store their carcasses in a meat locker-like room for later consumption. For any female human beings, they will also encase them in balloons so that they can turn them into female clowns for other means of reproductive methods, but I'm not going to get into clown female sexual drive, but just know that females will be trapped in balloons and have their mind and bodies converted into these clown-like creatures. If they find any other humans while they are trying to harvest these cocoons, they will turn you into more cocoons. All they have to do is just look at you and zap, and you are converted in the matter of a blink of an eye. And once they have completed their mission, will leave Earth with a bountiful harvest that will keep them fed and repopulated. During the first few initial conflicts, the clowns will seemingly be invincible as they take hellacious amounts of brute force and gunfire and not appear to be harmed in any way, from bullets hitting their chest to full-on cars ramming into them at full speed. Even if you were to dismember them, take off one of their limbs, it would have no effect, as they are able to regenerate parts of their body quickly as if they were balloon-like creatures. The only way of hurting and killing them is causing their big red noses to burst, most easily with a gunshot. Once their noses have popped, they have exploded, the rest of their body will begin to spiral out of control and explode in a fantastic flurry of lights and confetti. Now, you're thinking, hey, just don't fall for their tricks, and all you gotta do is shoot them right in the schnoz, and it's over. That's easy, it's fine, right? Well, attempting to escape them in the first place, if you don't have the right weapons, would be difficult, as they can easily start driving around in invisible cars that they come up out of nowhere to catch up to you, and once they have arrived at your location, can show up in small vehicles that can thematically fit multiple clowns of up to 5 to overwhelm you. They can also situate their big top spaceships into carnival settings to more discreetly hunt the human public. Although how they would arrange this without raising alarm does raise a few questions. The only real reason they were defeated at all in the movie is due to their overly sadistic nature, allowing their victims to escape and find ways to fight back. Their cockiness at the stupidity of humanity, while warranted these days, the fact that they did not protect their vital weak point, that is their noses, in any way, and also allowing their voracious appetites to make them fat enough to where some of them have a hard time walking around at a decent pace, really shows that they didn't care that much about their own safety. If they were to arrive on Earth in armadas and find ways to clearly protect their nose from direct damage, maybe like metal plating or bulletproof armor on their noses, I never thought I would bring that up, bulletproof armor for your nose, they would be a force to be reckoned with, especially considering the fact they bow to and hail a godlike entity and their leader, known as Jojo the Clownzilla. Is that a JoJo reference? Which Jojo is an 18-foot tall behemoth. A beast of this stature and girth would easily be able to level buildings in heavy artillery if it were able to keep its nose protected. I mean, it's a freaking kaiju! Look at the size of that motherfucker! Of course, being stomped flat by a giant clown Godzilla would mean your imminent death. Unless Clownzilla is stupid enough to allow a human to get near its weak spot and poke its balloon-like nose at the bat. Oh, well. Never mind. But still, it can crush you. Armies and defense organizations around the world these days would be quick to discern the threat of the Killer Klowns, despite how comical they may seem at first, and would ascertain how to defeat them and how seemingly easy their weak point would be exploitable. I mean, one shot to the nose wouldn't be hard for many trained, armed professionals. This exploitable weakness and organized retaliation could force the Killer Klown species to take the human race as more of formidable opposition and make them be more prepared cared and protected, and stop toying with their food as they so often did throughout the movie. Their weaponry, being able to instantly convert humans into liquefying cocoons, could be transmogrified and developed to be more large-scale and be used as city-wide nuclear-level devices to instantly transform entire armies into a smorgasbord of desserts that they can suck on. Also, if they were to use their means of shadow manipulation to a more frequent and wide-scale advantage, they could also instantly envelop and transform leagues more of humans to become popcorn that they use to increase their own clown numbers easily, as they contain their mutated popcorn in giant incubator popcorn machines aboard their motherships. These guys are pretty much invincible creatures if they protect their snozzes with immeasurable technology to convert us in seconds flat into their food and reproductive means. They know how to get it on quick. If one ship not taking anything too seriously caused this much trouble for a small town, it's easy to see a fleet that takes this seriously causing innumerable casualties and destruction, unless we are able to straight nuke them if we were able to discover their plot early on. The only real way of defeating them in any way is if, I'm being redundant as hell, but if they were to come to Earth and not have protection on their noses, and it would be easily defeated. So it just depends if they bring protection. That's what it comes down to. Wiping out and turning small towns to their liking to make more of their soldiers, as they could also manipulate dead bodies on social media to make people believe everything is fine, until their numbers are too much to handle as they start to take over large cities with their wide-scale technology, their superior brawn, brain, and powers. These clowns are so overpowered, and if they just protect their noses, they are pretty much invincible. The clowns shall inherit the earth. That about wraps up this freak show. Was it too jokey of a scenario? Do you want more B horror films in the Why You Wouldn't Survive series? What do you want to see next? What do you want to complain about? Let me know in the comments. If you want to support the channel, yada yada yada, like, sub, you know the drill. This is the typical YouTube thing. But if you want to donate in a number of ways to support the channel, you can. You don't have to, I'm not begging you, but you can, like being a longtime donator, a Patreon patron to see these videos weeks before they release, a YouTube channel member for exclusive little badges in the comment section, or just donating during my live streams. Special thanks to Wisefish for editing this video together. I don't think he was expecting to do a video of clowns this year or in his life. Check out one of the links above to see more of the Why You Wouldn't Survive series. And until next time, stay happy, stay healthy, stay funny, and stay wow!